Hello and welcome to Gathering Momentum. I'm Christine Casten, and this is a chance for you to be encouraged to gather momentum in your life, in your walk, and your journey with God. What I hope to help you with today is the idea of isolation versus the secret place. Now, in Psalm 91:1, it says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." And the word secret place or the term secret place is something that we tend to use when we talk about wanting to draw away from life or from the moment and be in that place of one-on-one with God. So one-on-one connection with the Most High God. It's the place where we enter in to His presence. It's a place where we are still and know that He is God. That's another verse in Proverbs. And it's something that we are able to enter into a place of connection, communion, communication with God. Now, sometimes that secret place can be something that is in the moment, no matter what's going on around us. It's like the calm in the storm, that you're there in that place of peace, no matter what may be going on around you. Sometimes we have to actually separate ourselves from life and go into a place that allows us the refreshing and the rest to be able to connect to God in that secret place, especially in times when we feel transition is coming or when we feel like there's something that God really wants to speak to our heart, and the day to day normal just doesn't allow you the place to really focus on Him for a block of time. So those are all times that we may say take a retreat, or we may step into a vacation, or go off the grid and just kind of stop all of our communication lines. And in those places, those are a place where we can get strategy. Those are a place where we can renew. Those spaces are where we can really realign and attune ourselves to God's heart and God's direction. Now, there are times in a wilderness season where um, that secret place that you enter into may actually pull you away for a longer period of time, more than, a week or a weekend or a day. And in those seasons, there's a lot of development and training that God's doing, typically a lot of inner healing, typically a lot of redirection and a shift in your understanding. There's also preparation for what is to come. And it's almost like God's giving you that space to lay down what isn't needed and pick up what is for tomorrow. And in that wilderness training time, it's not that you're necessarily isolated. They're usually longer periods of time that you need to spend time with Him. So being completely off the grid for that amount of time, sometimes 2.5 years, can be a wilderness training time length. And so in that place, you get to have this space where you are preparing for what is to come, preparing for where God is taking you and what that looks like. And there are a lot of people out there who have had those kinds of training seasons. And that is a type of isolation, but you're not usually isolated completely. It's not an off the grid, typically, kind of thing that you do. So these are two types of secret place spaces that God may take you into. Now, what I've found when we talk about the isolation versus the secret place, what I've found is sometimes people will use a desire to isolate themselves as a secret place kind of. They'll put the title of secret place on it, and they'll use the idea of being in the secret place as an excuse for isolation. Typically, the isolation that they're seeking, it maybe have been triggered by wounding. It may have been triggered by life circumstances, by trauma. It may have been triggered by just kind of being burned out and just being done, with some things and just wanting to step back. They may be an introvert, and the introvert in us may call for a season of isolation, but it's a season. And I think that there are times when we use the idea of the secret place as an excuse to stay in isolation. Now, one of the things that's important to understand is that isolation is never how God designed us to actually be. And in those places of isolation for long term, a lot of times what happens is we get stagnant in our growth, or we get caught in circles of thinking, circles within our minds of thinking that actually cause us to get stuck. And we don't have the challenges, and we don't have the conversations with people that actually help us get unstuck and help us grow. So there is a benefit to being in a place where you allow yourself to connect, where you allow yourself to have conversations with people that actually help you grow in your faith. When we talk about someone who's actually isolating themselves versus being in a secret place or a wilderness training time, a lot of times what happens is that person feels as if they are there's actually a lot of fear that holds them captive, and so they may not realize how captured by fear that they really are. But the reality is there's a fear that keeps them from wanting to connect to others and wanting to be in a place that doesn't feel safe. A lot of times the safety that we seek with others has been compromised, and we have to have the courage to be able to step back in and trust again. So if you're in a place where isolation has become an excuse not to connect, first I ask you to assess that. Go before the Lord, pray about it, ask him if you're truly in a wilderness training time, or if he really does want you to find a way to connect back to the body of Christ. And in that place, I think that first I want to encourage you to connect, because we actually accelerate in our growth when we have others around us who are also excited about their growth process. We actually grow faster, yes, but we also grow deeper because we're hearing other people's journeys and stories. It talks about in the Bible that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, which is our connection with Jesus. It's us stepping into that place where we call him Lord. So we overcome by the blood of the Lamb through our salvation, and we overcome through the word of our testimony. Now, the word of the testimony isn't only your own testimony, it's also the testimony of others. So when we isolate ourselves, we actually pull ourselves away from hearing the testimony of others and hearing the excitement of their breakthroughs and their process. And I really believe that for the Warrior Commission, thewarriorcommission.com, if you want to look it up, in the Warrior Commission, we have a setup where we get the opportunity to hear about how different people are breaking through in different areas of their lives. Now, it may not be the exact same thing that someone is facing. However, the things that they hear in the reminders that God is still actively involved, that he is a God of hope, that he is someone who is interactive with us and helping us in our growth process, helping us to develop and grow, sometimes we get reminded of that through the word of the testimony of others as they also develop and grow. So that's why there's such an incredible synergy in the Warrior Commission, because we're hearing these stories all the time. We're hearing different people experiencing the breakthroughs. And even though their breakthrough may not be exactly the same area that I need to break through in my own life, hearing that story reminds me of the faithfulness of God. And it reminds me of the intentionality that God has in our growth process as we align with him. So I would really encourage you, if you're in a wilderness training time, if you're in a place of isolation, if you would truly step into a moment with the Lord and just lay it before Him and ask Him, is this something that is about your training and your growth with Him? Is it a secret place time, or are you actually pulling yourself away and allowing fear to hold you captive by maintaining isolation so that you're not able to really synergize and connect more fully, linking arms with others in the body of Christ? I hope that this helps you. I hope that it encourages you. I also hope that it gives you some spiritual tools, not only to consider for yourself, but to help others who may also have put themselves in a place of isolation and really need to come out of that space. Be gentle with them, because obviously they put themselves in that for a reason. But if you can walk alongside of them, or if that those people can walk alongside you, you guys, I'm sure, will have amazing breakthroughs in your journey with God. I hope this helps you gather momentum for your life. I'm Christine Casten, and I look forward to seeing you next week at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. That's in the morning, and I would love to see you guys next time. Also, please feel free to post. I do look for your posts, and I do love responding to them.